Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Emerald the Quilter and I have been quilting along with the Spring Mystery Quilt 2023 by Edyta Sitar of Laundry Basket Quilts. This week we are on week 5 and I'm going to show you how to sew an entire hexagon flower. So I have all of mine done and I'm going to show you from start to finish how to do it. I'm also going to show you what I take with me on vacation. I have this beautiful little bag. I also have my iPad with me with my pattern. Don't forget that those are going to be removed soon. Right now I'm recording in August of 2023, so if you haven't downloaded your PDFs, make sure you do that soon. Also, make sure you watch till the end to see some pictures from my vacation. And if you like my videos, please comment, like, and subscribe. Here's my to-go bag. This is a little bag I made from some laundry basket quilt scraps a few years ago, and I've made a few of these. I have a cute little zipper here, and I have everything that I need for week 5. I cut out my accent fabrics and then my 3 purple fabrics, which I did end up having to cut from Practical Magic. That was a brand new Fat Eighth bundle, so I went ahead and used it because I did not have enough scraps of any other purples and I really wanted to keep it laundry basket quilt fabrics. These 2 yellows here are from my, I think it was called the Lemon Drop bundle. So I have not used these 2 yellows. This one, it kind of looks like chicken feet, but it's not. And then this one is little tiny flowers. Really love that. I am bringing a seam ripper. I'm bringing a brand new pack of thimble pads. These, I forget what they're called. I did buy them from Laundry Basket Quilts, their website, and they are, maybe they're called like sashiko scissors, sashiko or something. They're very sharp and very, very tiny. So they're more than what, they're way less, I mean, than what TSA approves. So I think on the TSA website, you can have scissors that are no longer than maybe 4 inches. I forgot. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember. But I know that these are going to be just fine. I did find some free hexagon papers, and I will put the link to this website. It is littlemushroomcap.com, and these are 7/8 of an inch. And I did make sure to use the 1-inch square reference, and it came out perfect the first time I printed. So I have those pages. I also have my Sew Daisies. This thread is almost done, so I just put it on there with 2 needles right there and some Sewline glue. 1 Wonder Clip is all I'm gonna need. Get all this old thread out. I'm constantly like swapping out projects, and then a backup glue. So I have everything that I need for my trip, and I am not packing some larger scissors to cut these because I'm just gonna borrow some scissors while I'm there, and I will cut those when I have some time to relax. This is the thread I'm going to use. The shades of purple that I had and the shades of yellow were either too light or way too dark. So this one is like a good in-between, a neutral color, and I think it's gonna do pretty well with an invisible stitch. And that is everything that I have. So this should, you know, these 2 little needles and these itty bitty little scissors are gonna be just fine going through the airport, and I really just can't wait to take my little project with me. Here are my 12 hexagons. I will show these to you up close, but before we take a look at them, I want to show you how I like to make my hexies. I use this Sewline glue. It can get a little smudge on the side, so usually I'll just wipe the excess glue away with like a like a paper towel or like honestly on my t-shirt, and it's fine because it just washes off. And I put just a little bit on the back of my template and just press them down. And I'm gonna do the same for all of these. You can see that I've started on a couple already, and these were actually like extras that I had accidentally cut, because sometimes when I'm cutting, I just keep on cutting. If, you know, I just find it very relaxing, and it's nice to have extra blocks so that I can do something unique with it. Like I'm thinking with these that I am going to put them next to my label on the back of the quilt because I want to give this quilt to my son. So now that I've put a little dab of glue on the template, you can see that it just sticks. This one says, "Life is a ride." And I really enjoyed working with these templates by littlemushroomcap.com. They were free, they were just the right size that I needed. This one says, "Be nice, kind, and humble always." And I always enjoy positivity and just inspiration. So the next part is gluing down the sides. So I am gonna zoom you in just a little bit closer. Okay, right there so you can see. And I just swipe from one side to the next, and I fold the fabric on top and just continue going all the way around, not messing with the edges of the paper. Just like so. And once I get to the end, I go from either direction and then bring it over. Sometimes I need a little bit of extra glue just to hold this one in place. Just like that. And that one is done. So there you can see it's a beautiful little hexie, and I have just 4 more to go. So I'm gonna do the same thing with all of these, and this can go by really quick if you just sit down and get them all done at the same time. This is Hobbs right here. So if you've watched my other videos, you know that Hobbs likes to hang out with me in my studio, and my dog Bella, she's right by my feet right now. And so they keep me company, especially Hobbs when he knows that anything stringy is about to come out. And definitely I'm going to be using some thread here, so he's going to get pretty excited about that in a moment. But I know I have not been on in a while. It's been a long time, like a month now, but I was spending time with my family. My family is a military family, and so it's pretty difficult for us to get together, and it's been that way for several years now. My mom, she lives out of state, and she can't come visit easily. There's things that she has to do in order to get that kind of approval, and so I was so happy to see her and spend time with her, and my son just loves her so much, and just made me happy to see them together. And so it's not just my mom, it's also my brother. And my brother, he's been deployed for I think over a year now, and he was able to come visit from overseas, and we were incredibly happy because him and his family, my sister-in-law and their 5 children, they also live out of state, and we were able to arrange it so his visitation from overseas and my mom's visitation overlapped. So I got to see my family all together for about a week, and then separately for like a week each. So that was just a wonderful time, and I'm so blessed to be a part of a family that serves its country. And I just had so much fun spending time with my nieces and nephews. We had a sleepover. It was just me, my 5 nieces and nephews, and my little ones. So it was me and 6 little ones, and that was amazing. So here are my my hexies. They're ready to be laid out and sewn together. I'm going to show you how to properly tie a knot. This is the way that that I learned it. Recently, I was actually doing it a different way and kind of learned that it was not really the best way, and I'll show you that as well. Where is my needle? Here we go. So this is, if you're wondering like what I'm digging through, this is my little, what do you call it? Like a needle book that I made. And it's made with 2 fat quarters from Laundry Basket Quilts. And then this is made of vinyl. So I love that. Got my needles in here. All right, so before I used to use 2 strands of thread, and after attending a workshop, I learned that the best way, or the way that was taught, was just with 1 strand, and I was always scared that using only 1 strand would break the thread, but after having tried it out and practicing a little bit, I didn't break my thread, and then it was less noticeable when I was sewing my pieces together. So you thread your needle, and you're supposed to use like 18 inches. I don't really follow that rule. I just kind of go as long as I can, the span of my arm really. You take your needle and your thread and you want to cross it over. So I hold this loose thread here, and then I twist 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to hold that nice and tight. My thread down here is dangling, and I'm going to just pull the needle with my other hand and just give it a little tug right there. And you can see that I've got a nice perfect knot, and this is like the easiest way to make a knot. And the only thing you have to worry about is like if you're not holding your thread properly, or you accidentally like don't twist it on that initial step, then your knot will kind of get messed up. So here is where sometimes I use a wonder clip. When I'm first putting my hexagons together, I use a wonder clip to keep it steady. And I start with one corner, and I almost forgot my thimble pads. Use thimble pads. These are a life-saving product. It's so much better than using a thimble. So I use that. And I thread the corner and tie a knot, just one little knot to keep it secure. And then I just go from one edge to the other by picking up only a smidge of the edge of both fabrics. Let me see how close I can get for you. And using the Wonder Clip helps me just focus on my stitches. And once I get the hang of it, because if I go a few days without sewing hexagons, I kind of lose my groove. And then if I just keep it up, I don't need the Wonder Clip anymore. I'm just going to pull that thread out of the way and keep on going. Now sometimes I sew less stitches, like I have more distance in between each one, and then sometimes they're really close. And I don't do it on purpose, it just kind of happens. But what I've found is that if you can keep your stitches not like super tight, but just nice and snug, you can't really tell the difference once you open your hexies. And what I do have to be careful is making sure that I pull enough of both fabrics, because then if you only pull just like a strand of the fabric, then you can accidentally like tug on it and create the tiniest little hole. You don't want to do that. Now I'm getting close to the edge, and when I get to the corner, I am going to tie a knot just like I did in the first corner. Now I can open it, and it looks like that. And you can see that my stitches are barely visible. Like really what you see more of is where the fabric is meeting and not necessarily the thread, and I had to go in super close there. And I will admit that because I'm using a length of thread that's more than the recommended, I will sometimes get like knots in my thread and I'll have to go ahead and cut it out. But sometimes I can use like maybe 30 inches of thread and make a whole flower and have no hiccups. And that always feels great. Now that I've added the first set, I'm putting on another petal and I'm tying a knot in the corner. And I'm just going to, and you see I didn't even put the Wonder Clip back on. I'm just going to go from one corner to the next and repeat this process every time. And as I do it, I can kind of speed up. But I normally don't enjoy doing anything like this by hand because it's quite slow for me. The fastest that I have been able to sew a flower, a hexagon flower, I think was like half an hour, maybe 25 minutes. And that's because like I wasn't watching Netflix or YouTube or anything. I was just, this was the only thing that I was doing. But most of the time, it takes me like 45 minutes to make one. I think binding a quilt is about the only thing that's done by hand in quilting that I really enjoy. But I certainly enjoy the final product of hexagons. So it's just, you know, it's just a different technique. Okay, and I just did that without explaining what I was doing. Okay, so I pieced these two petals here. What I did was to get from this corner to this corner was I just thread my needle through here and out here, and I just traveled. That way my thread, it comes out on this side now, and it's ready to sew the petal to the center. So I don't ever cut a new piece of thread. I just travel, and by tying the knot at every single corner, it helps ensure that like if you do make a mistake, it's not the end of the world, but also it adds some strength to your hand stitches. Okay. And so I'm going to see how long it takes for me to make this flower on camera. Hobbs finally gave up on getting some snuggles and he left. It's like, I'm not getting any attention here. Okay. And okay, so you can see here, I accidentally did not allow these two corners to meet up exactly, but it'll be okay. I'm just going to sort of fidget with the fabric by coming in at an angle. It was like super small. And now I can tie a knot that it's in the corner, and you can barely tell. Barely, right here. Now it's time for the next petal. And I'm gonna tie a knot in this corner, and it's just a repetitive process. For everyone out there who made all of their hexagon flowers that same day that the blog came out, I was just amazed by how fast you were all able to do that. Because, well, first of all, I had family in town. That was very important for me to spend time with them because I don't get to see them very often, and I don't get to see them together very often. But in addition, doing this kind of thing by hand always sort of makes me pause. Like, I think I can do something else. And that did happen for a day or two, I will admit. But I'm back at it. They're all done. And they're quite beautiful. And I'm filming this video mid-August. So the Mystery Quilt Along is complete. So if you have not seen what the final quilt looks like, it is absolutely stunning. I love all the techniques. There's applique, there's English paper piecing, which is what we're doing right now. And of course, just regular piecing. I love that more and more the mystery quilts are teaching us different techniques and just are expanding our knowledge of quilting. So I am very excited to put this quilt together. And don't forget that they announced that once a certain amount of time has passed, like maybe a month or two, I think maybe the pattern was only going to be free and available on the blog for like the summer. Then, okay, and here, I'm at this point. Let me show you. I'm just right here, right? And I accidentally unthreaded my needle. So to get to the center of the flower, of course I have to rethread my needle. There we go. To re-thread it, I'm just going to go through the fabric. I'm not going through the paper. I'm going to push to the other side and come out at this corner here. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, yes. So I think it was announced that by the end of the summer, the pattern instructions was going to be removed so that people could purchase the entire pattern altogether. So if you have not gone and downloaded your PDFs, be sure to do those soon before they're gone. I made sure to download all of mine because I knew it was going to be a bit of time before I could get back to quilting. Okay. And at this point, I am just about halfway done. There are some English paper pieces out there who will use what's called an invisible stitch. I have tried that on a different project, and I was using it for many hexagon flowers, and I ended up getting frustrated with it because it just, for me, I was just like too slow at it, and it added a lot of time than just doing it this way. So it helps to use a thread color that is like well blended between all of your fabrics. The purples that I had, I've mentioned before that they were either too bright or too dark, or they just didn't go well at all. But this brown here, this is actually from Hobby Lobby Sewology. I've had this for a while, so I didn't buy any new thread. I found that this one works pretty well because it's in between the shades of yellow and purple, and these colors are a little bit more muted, so it worked out. So if you want to hide your threads, but you don't want to go through the trouble of doing the invisible stitch, you can see how it's coming along now. I mean, it's so hard to see, like very, very hard to see those threads. Then just use a thread color that matches your fabric. And as your flower gets bigger, it can be difficult to hold and keep your thread from getting caught here. So I lean my unit in a certain way to try to prevent that from happening. Of course, it doesn't always work, but it helps. You know, I'm surprised that I haven't knotted my thread. And I'm going to jinx myself. So every time I'm using something that requires hand stitching, I always use a thimble pad. So with the rubber thimbles and the leather thimbles, I will actually sweat a lot and get a blister, and it becomes very painful. With the metal thimbles, it takes away the feeling from the pressure that I apply to the fabric, and then it makes me like less successful. And so I find it to be very frustrating. But not only that, every single type of thimble that I've tried, it required me to like cut my nail down, and I don't have super long nails, but I do enjoy clean and pretty nails. So even the ones that have the opening for the nail, they just did not work for me. So the thimble pad, it sticks on your finger. It's literally a sticker. It has leather padding on it, and it doesn't get in the way. I don't get any blisters, and it protects my skin, which is exactly what I need. And see here, look, I jinxed myself. There is the tiniest little knot now. Of course, as I'm getting to the end, and that was easy to take out. So I will put the link to the thimble pads down below. If you are looking to try something new, I highly recommend them. There are, I think, like 12 thimble pads to a package, and I can use one thimble pad for binding an entire lap quilt. That's how long lasting the sticker piece is. But I will say that because I get super sweaty in the hands, that if I don't wash my hands before, the thimble pads don't last me long at all. So I always have to wash my hands, dry them, and that helps keep from sweating through the leather and the adhesive. So once you get into the groove, it can go by much faster. I'm almost to this corner. Okay, so I'm almost done and I am losing length on my thread. I just trimmed off that fuzzy edge so it's a little bit easier for me to rethread my needle. Okay, there we go. And I want to show you how to sew on that last petal to your hexagon. It's actually repeating everything that we've already done, except that now you're sewing 3 sides instead of 2. Oop, and look, you see what happened? My hand got sweaty and so it just fell off, but you can see that I've used this thimble pad for quite a while now. It needs to go in the trash, and I have just 3 right here that I've been going back and forth between. So I'm just gonna put another one on and I'll throw that other thimble pad away once I'm done here. Oh, getting close to the finish line is always exciting, and this says just keep going. Just keep going, and that's what we're doing. So I wonder how long does it take all of you guys to sew one flower? Because me, it's taking a little while. I'm gonna have to see it when I stop my recording how long it took me to sew this. But I did spend, like, over the course of, well, while I was on vacation, I think I was able to work on my hexagons for like 2 nights. And then once I got back, I was finishing them over the course of 3 days. So it took me a little while. Okay, here we go. The last petal goes right here. I am going to start with the corner that I ended at. I'm going to tie a knot. And keep on going. Did I tie a knot? Sometimes I just move too quickly. I don't know if I did. Okay, I just tied one just to make sure. And I'm always picking up, you see what happened? My thread got snagged on this part of my flower. So gotta move that over. It's still getting snagged. And I think I'm gonna use my Wonder Clip to just keep it down. Just like this, out of the way, unless it gets snagged here, right? So Wonder Clips can be very helpful. And I'm still using the same thread. I'm lucky today. But yes, most quilters that I've spoken to and also just listened to on other tutorials, they typically recommend about 18 inches in length. And I don't follow that. So I like not having to tie more than 1 knot in a single flower. So once I get to this corner, I'm going to travel my thread towards the center of the flower. And that will be the only time I have to do it, because then I can just stitch on the edge of the, oop, that was too much fabric, of the center, and then the two petals together, and that would be the last seam. I'm catching both corners. I think I'm gonna go get both corners again. Okay, and I'm gonna just tie one knot, open it up, travel without getting my paper. Make sure it doesn't go through the other side. Okay, and now I can work right here. And I think I forgot to tie a knot again, so I'm going to tie that knot. Oh, and I forgot to mention that while my brother and his family was here, I had the opportunity to teach my nieces how to quilt. And so that was so much fun. They are very curious, and they were all very smart, and we all took turns. I had 3 sewing machines set up. Someone was on the iron, I was cutting, someone was at every sewing machine, and my sister-in-law was helping too. The youngest one, my youngest niece, she was doing an excellent job at laying out the units, making sure no 2 fabrics touched. And so we were working on a quilt for their dad, a flag quilt, so patriotic, and we had hoped to finish it before it was time for them to leave, but we only did about half of the blocks. So my brother, of course, he's back overseas now, and his family has gone back home out of state. It's going to be up to me now to finish the remainder of this beautiful scrappy quilt. And I'll share some pictures of what we were able to accomplish, and we can't wait to have it professionally quilted for him for when he comes home next year, and present it to him then. Okay, we are almost done. I think just about everyone in my family has received a quilt from me except for my brother. So that is going to be very special that his kids and his wife were able to take part in that too. Okay, so this is the last seam right here, and the most rewarding one when you get to finish your flower. There's nothing special about it other than the fact that you had to stitch on 3 sides. Of course, always tie that knot to keep it secure. And look how much thread I have left. Like just enough. And I really only winged that. My thimble pad is sliding. It is like I have been working too hard, lady. I need a break. Get another thimble pad. Okay, here we go. Are there any of you out there who are at the point where I am, where you were on a roll sewing all of your blocks and then you had to do this much work by hand that you didn't get to it? I mean, be honest. I also had family visiting, so I had to stop because family is everything. But besides that, I mean, I've already admitted that I didn't get to it right away. Okay, here we are getting to the corner and I'm almost out of thread. So instead of just tying one knot at this corner, I'm going to be extra secure and I'm gonna go through again in the corner. And I lost my thimble pad, it fell off. Okay. And I've barely got any thread on here. So I'm gonna tie another knot, being very careful because it's always annoying having to rethread your needle. Patience is everything. And of course now I can't see my loop. There it is. And tie that knot. I almost unthreaded my needle. Give it a tug and hide my tail in the fabric without getting the paper. And I'm all done. Just give that a pull, cut off the excess. Here's what it looks like on the back. And here's what it looks like on the front. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you do yours a little bit different, I'd love to hear about it, but this is the way I do it. And I wanted to show you my hexagons up close. So here are all 12. This is definitely the kind of project that you can work on while you are watching TV, watching a movie, just enjoying some tea. I love drinking coffee. I also worked on some of these while I was grilling outside. And it's relaxing once you get into it. Here they all are. Very pretty. And oh my goodness, here was the very first one that I did. You can see those stitches, can't you? You can see them. So yeah, definitely take some practice, but from here to where you are now, you can't see them. So it's all good. I'm so relieved to have all of my beautiful hexagon flowers done. It did take me a while and I know I'm quite behind, but let me know in the comments below if you're just as behind as I am or if you're already finished, because I know many of you are, and I know at the same time I can't be the only one who has been procrastinating on the handwork. So thank you so much for watching and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.